I am Curran Bhatia speaking with the great Roy Jones Jr. Roy, how are you doing, man?
Doing good, Curran. How you doing?
Doing great. Got to see you in action, calling big fights just like old times. And I know you had one of the best seats in the house for the heavyweight title, changing hands. So I want to talk to you about the fight, the event. What was it like being over there? What was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere was electric. There's no better atmosphere than this London, this English, British, this British arena right. These British arenas right now. These British arenas are really producing the biggest fights. You know what I mean? The biggest fight crowd, 67,000 people. The atmosphere is just electric, and you just can't get any better than that.
Absolutely, it seemed like an absolutely epic event all around. So before we talk about the fight, you've seen both of these fighters. You've done extensive research. What did you think was going to happen that night between Joshua and Usyk?
Exactly what happened. Yep, and the reason being that people don't understand that Usyk wiped out a division that had fighters in it that were even better punchers than Anthony Joshua. Murat Gaisev is one of the hardest punching fighters in boxing today, pound for pound. Couldn't put a glove on Usyk. Derek Chisora is a very hard puncher, heavyweight. Put a glove on Usyk, but he couldn't hurt him. And Joshua had the skills to hurt him, but he had to go out and do it early. If he let Usyk get comfortable, Usyk has too much experience for him. So somebody asked me, is the fight going to go the distance? I said, yes. They said, well, what do you think? How do you see the fight? I said, well, if it go past 5 rounds, Joshua got all kind of issues. Well, if I tell you if it's going to go the distance, then I tell you if it go past 5 rounds, he got issues. What did that take? It's going the distance, and if it go past 5, he got problems. So he finna have problems. So of course I knew it was going to happen.
And with Usyk's story, I mean, of course, he dominated at cruiserweight. He was moving up to heavyweight, now campaigning as a heavyweight. I'm just wondering, do you see any of yourself in Usyk in terms of moving up in weight? Obviously, you went from light heavy to heavyweight and had success there. Did you see any similarities there?
Well, just the fact that he refused to be beat that night. When he came in there with the concept in his mind, the same concept I had. I know I'm supposed to be the smaller guy, but I'm not losing tonight. I'm here to take over. He came out, he pissed on trees right away. When you come out and piss on trees right away, you mean business. A dog come in your yard and piss on trees, you mean business.
And one thing I tweeted is getting to work alongside you. I've heard your commentary, your thoughts for so long, and I've always said this to anyone who will listen, that Roy Jones can see things in the ring that no one else can see. And usually when you point something out that's going to happen in the later rounds, it usually does happen. And one point that you made early on in the broadcast is that you said Usyk was closing the distance, but the biggest thing were his feints, and his feints were allowing the opening for the left hand, and that left hand was going to hurt Joshua, which it did. You noticed that early, right? You could see that developing.
First round.
And with that happening, did that tell you right away that Usyk was going to have success that night?
Yes. You can't let this little guy come in the first round and dominate. He dominated not just the first round, he dominated the first 3 rounds.
And one thing that was interesting about this fight, you would think that Joshua, as the bigger guy, would kind of be pushing the pace a little bit, but Usyk was closing the distance. Usyk was inside. So it was just an interesting battle of geography. And one thing I noticed was that the ref didn't have to come in to break these guys up or anything like that. These guys were fighting in the middle of the ring. So what do you think that said about Joshua in terms of using his size or length? It didn't seem like he was able to be effective in doing that.
Because he didn't understand that that's what he needed to do. Joshua's a very nice guy. That's why I like him so much. Joshua's a very likable guy. He's a very nice guy. He's the kind of guy that, he's just a likable guy. He's just a really cool, down to earth, easygoing guy. And you got to be, it's cool to be that way, but sometimes when you're in a boxing ring, you got to change. You got to put on a different hat. Clark Kent got to go. Superman got to show up. And Clark Kent stayed there too long. Superman should have showed up from round 1. But Clark Kent showed up the first 3 rounds. Superman put the cape on after round 3. That was a little too late.
And Joshua did have some comeback rounds, round 4 and
Of
others.
course.
He landed the right hand, sometimes straight. I thought he was actually having success with the looping right hand, kind of going around. What would you have liked to see more of Joshua do? How could he have been more of Superman? Was it just getting started earlier, or is there more he could do overall?
Clark Kent should have never showed up. Superman should have showed up for round 1. He let Clark Kent come out of the first 3 rounds, and Usyk got used to Clark Kent. When he changed Superman, Usyk wasn't afraid no more because Usyk had dealt with Clark Kent all night. He was like, oh, this is easy. Clark Kent is not a real problem. And Clark Kent ain't. But Superman is. So you got to let him see Superman right away, not Clark Kent. Because he's coming up to a new weight class. He took over one weight class. Now he's here to take over another. You can't let him just have his way to take over. You got to introduce him to what Superman deal with, what Superman stand for.
And the biggest thing I think was, or one of the biggest things was, Usyk had the intensity, especially early in the fight. But the question was he going to be able to keep up the pace? He was able to keep up the pace. And the 12th round was really interesting. Usyk basically dominated the 12th round, hurting Joshua early. He had him on the ropes late. What do you think about Joshua in that 12th round? Were you expecting to see more from someone who's trying to defend their belts there?
No, because just like in the first round, Clark Kent showed up. In the beginning of the 12th round, Clark Kent showed up again. So you knew Clark Kent was there too much. We need to see all Superman, no Clark Kent. Instead, we saw Clark Kent, we saw Superman, and we ended back at Clark Kent. Can't do that.
And so with the fight going the way it did, of course, Usyk winning the 3 belts here, now becoming a heavyweight champion. Joshua has said he's going to exercise the immediate rematch clause. Do you think that Anthony Joshua should take the immediate rematch?
Yes.
And if you were advising Anthony Joshua, what would you recommend that he do differently in this rematch?
Go find Roy Jones.
Anthony Joshua, if you're listening, you need to go find Roy Jones to get some tips here. So in terms of the other side of the coin, Usyk, now he's no longer the hunter. He's going to be the hunted. And we saw what happened to Andy Ruiz when he became heavyweight champion, right? He didn't train as seriously as he could. What do you think Usyk should do?
Wait a minute. There's a difference. There's a difference in everything that we're talking about here. One guy is a guy that really nobody expected to make it, that surprisingly became heavyweight champ, something he never expected in his whole life. And he finally got it. And he was shocked because though he may have been trying for it, it wasn't never looked upon as a reality. The other guy's been a champion his whole life. He went to the Olympics. He's been a champion his whole life. He has a whole different understanding of what being champion is. He was Olympic champion. He was cruiserweight champion, undisputed cruiserweight champion. So why would he go get a heavyweight championship now and then lay down? He know what happens when you get to be champion. You become a target. You're a marked man. He know this. He's been doing this his whole life. Andrew Reed didn't understand that because that was his first time becoming champion. So he don't know. But when you've been champ before, you know what that means. That means you're at the top of the hill. You are king of the hill. Now that means now the stuff really starts because now it's going to come from everywhere. You on top of the hill. When you ain't on top of the hill, you looking at the top of the hill. You one of the many that whose eyes are focused on top of the hill. But when you get to the top of the hill, you are the one that all eyes are focused on. Like Tupac said, all eyes are on me.
So assuming Anthony Joshua does not call you for advice and he trains with the people he's been training with, and Usyk, of course, stays hungry.
He just got to go back into the fight and start from round 1. You know what I mean? He can't go out there and let Clark Kent show up. He got to be Superman all night, even if he has a chance. He got to be Superman. The only way he has a chance, he got to be Superman all night.
And so let's say they do go into the rematch. What do you think will happen in the rematch? Who do you think would win the rematch?
All depends. Like I said, all depends on how Joshua comes. Joshua is the deciding force in all of it because he's the bigger man. A good big man beats a good little man all day long. But a big man that ain't coming up with the right plan gonna lose to a smart little man. He lost to a smart little man.
And speaking of a good big man and a little man, I know that you've said that you don't necessarily want to see the unification fight between Tyson Fury and Usyk because it would be boring, right? Because it would be a very technical fight.
It's not. Let me say this. It's not that it's going to be necessarily so boring. It's just that it's a skill contest. with two guys who don't possess a lot of power. The heavyweight division does not need that right now. There's too many good heavyweights out there to make good fights that we can't miss on. You understand me? Fights like Joyce and Fury, we can't miss on that. With Dylan White and Fury, we can't miss on that. Wilder and Fury, we can't miss on that. Those same guys with Usyk, we can't miss on that. All those guys are great fights with the two boxers. These are the two boxes of the division. The two boxes of the division are also the two lighter punches of the division. Not that they can't punch, because they both got knockouts. And he hurt Joshua the other night, and Fury has stopped Wilder. So they both do have power, but they don't have that explosive Mike Tyson type knockout power that we used to seeing in a heavyweight. You feel me? Therefore, if they got in the ring together, they both so skillful that it's going to be hard for either one of them to hit the other one. And then when they do hit them, it's probably going to be a good shot because they don't throw them too often. You understand me? So it's like we're going to see a chess match that boxing don't need in the heavyweight division right now. Between two of the best thinkers ever in the game. These are two of the best thinkers you ever going to see. I'm not saying they pound the best, but they're two of the best thinkers you ever going to see. They just lack the real, true heavyweight punching power. Both of them do. Because if Usyk had it, he knocked Joshua out in the first round. Because he hit him with the best shots you could ask to hit a man with in the first round. At the right distance, everything. He had everything perfect on the first two left hands he hit him with. They were perfect. So if you was a real puncher, it would have been a problem right there. He didn't hurt him to the second round. So what I'm saying is that I'm not saying that that's not a good fight. I'm saying it's not a good fight for boxing right now. You feel me? They're good fighters, but there's enough guys around that are real punchers. There's enough puzzles to solve without having to put these two puzzles together right now.
Absolutely. And you brought up Mike Tyson, and you're obviously very familiar with Mike Tyson. You fought him recently. He was watching the fight. He tweeted, he said, after watching Joshua and Usyk, maybe they had a bad day that night. From their performance, do you really think that they could beat me in my prime? Tyson talking about himself. What do you think would happen if Mike Tyson in his prime took on either Joshua or Usyk?
Neither one of them would have beat him in his prime. Neither one of them. They don't punch hard enough to keep him off of him.
And let me ask you this. We know that you campaigned at heavyweight. What do you think would happen, Roy Jones in his prime versus Joshua or Usyk?
It ain't a question.
Before I let you go, just a couple more questions. Fury versus Wilder. We're talking about the heavyweight division, of course. They're fighting in their trilogy fight October 9th. First fight a draw. Second fight, Fury knocked out Wilder. What do you think is going to happen the third time around?
It's very hard to say in this fight. This fight is not as easy to call as one last weekend because Wilder has the punching power that can end the fight at any time, from round go to round stop. Therefore, Fury isn't safe until the last bell rings. So who will win the boxing match? I think Fury will again. But if he can go without getting damaged, because he got dropped 2 times in the first fight. Now, he didn't get dropped none in the second fight, but that don't mean nothing because now Wilder has a different trainer. He has a different approach. Something's going to change about him. And we got to see how Fury makes adjustment, how Fury will adjust to the new changes in Wilder.
And that's going to be the question, the battle of adjustments here. We saw you ringside for this big fight. Are we going to continue to see Roy Jones commentating on these big fights?
Nah, I just 1 or 2 here and there probably. I don't think they like it enough to offer me the right kind of money. It's like right now, I'm a commentator, and because I ain't fighting no more, when I go to the commentary table, I got to go out there like a champ, like I'm damn near fighting, you feel me? Because really, when it comes down to it, I make people understand and enjoy boxing probably better than most people that do commentate. I have a mind and IQ that gives you more than you can get from the average guy. So I should be paid like that. They pay people that do their job superbly, they pay them superbly. Like, for instance, you see somebody like Jim Lampley, he's the best at what he do. They pay him like he's the best at what he do. So you see Roy Jones, he seems like he's the best at what he does. So somebody should pay him like he's the best at what he does, not the little money they've been giving him. So it's like, I like it, but I'm not going to do it unless I'm paid and respected like the legend I am and for the knowledge that I give to the public, because I give the public hella knowledge. You understand me? And I got 2 options. I can either campaign as a commentator or I can campaign as a trainer. But I have a lot of knowledge on both sides of the table. So I have 2 open tables there. Wherever the most money comes from will probably be the best place I go. but I'm still going to train fighters because I do have fighters that I feel like I can make a difference in their lives.
Absolutely. I've always said Roy Jones commentating on a fight sees things that no one else can see. I know that, when there was a long pay-per-view card on the undercards, you'd see fighters in their fight, as they're fighting, look over to Roy to kind of get advice because they want to know what he thinks or what he should tell them to do. So you mentioned you could be a commentator or a trainer. What about Roy Jones as the fighter? Is there a chance that we could see you in another comeback fight?
I never said no because you never know what they might offer you. If somebody offer the right thing, it's going to be hard to turn it down. It's a good offer, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's the world of boxing, it's the world we live in, but I'm not really trying to do it again because my knees are so bad. But if the right situation came and I had to go get in shape and do it, I probably would for the right situation, but it had to be the right situation.
And your fight with Tyson, it wasn't scored officially, but unofficially it was a draw. If there was a chance to do that again, would you be up for doing something like that again versus Mike Tyson?
It's possible. Anything possible.
And just to close it out, what would be your final message to your fans and your supporters?
My final message would be thank you all for watching me over the years. Thank you for all the support y'all gave me. I hope I entertain y'all to the best of my ability. I gave it all for y'all. I didn't give it all just to put money in my pocket. I gave it all to entertain y'all and to give y'all somebody to look at and say that's the best. And I appreciate y'all for remembering me. And now to show me that y'all remember me, I want y'all to go out and buy that new single called Y'all Must Have Forgot Part 2 on any of your music digital platforms. Go download Y'all Must Have Forgot Part 2 right now.
There you have it. Roy Jones, thank you so much for the time. Hope to see you call and fight soon. Hope to see you maybe in there again soon. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, my brother. It's good to see you again, too.